Hello, everyone. Digital Warrior here. If you are like me, and if you're here listening and watching this, then you're most likely like me. We were a little bit shell shocked by what happened the other day. But now is not the time for us to um, a little bit shell shocked by what happened the other day. Lose focus. But now is not the time for us to. All right, I have a disclosure to make. Is that this is my first time using this platform, so I am learning that
I
there's
have a
echoing right here. It's driving me crazy.
First time using this platform, so
But I can assure you that I will get better in the future.
echoing right here. It's driving me crazy.
First time using this platform, But I can assure you that I will get better in the future.
Right here. It's driving me crazy.
Anyhow, I'm going to start with a video. It sort of explains what we're trying to do here. Thanks. Anyhow, I'm going to start with a video. It sort of explains what we're trying to do here. Thanks. Anyhow, I'm going to start with a video. It sort of explains what we're trying to do here. Thanks. Anyhow, I'm going to start with a video.
Welcome to Democracy Under Siege, a special series from the Daily Mind Brew. I'm Vanessa, and I'm so glad you're joining us today as we kick off this series. If you're concerned about the growing threats to democracy, you're in the right place. In this series, we'll explore how right-wing and authoritarian forces are working to dismantle democracy piece by piece. Today's episode is a little different because we're setting the stage for what's to come. Think of this episode as a guide to understanding the assumptions we're working with as we expose the coordinated attacks on democracy. With that, I'm passing it over to Digital Warrior to walk us through these key assumptions and the path ahead.
Thanks, Vanessa. Today, we're setting the foundation for this entire series, and it starts with understanding the assumptions that drive everything we're going to explore. First, we're not just talking theory here. We've seen these strategies unfold in real time at the local level, with groups like Moms for Liberty flipping school boards and pushing their agenda. These groups aren't just testing the waters, they're refining strategies that can be used on a much larger scale. One of the key tactics they rely on is what we call a blitzkrieg strategy, a fast, overwhelming series of attacks that hit from all sides, leaving the opposition scrambling to respond. When you're constantly putting out fires, you don't have time to focus on the bigger picture, and that's exactly the goal. It's not about winning small battles. It's about creating chaos and seizing control while everyone else is distracted. The blitzkrieg strategy. So let's break down this blitzkrieg approach a bit more. In military terms, blitzkrieg means lightning war, a rapid, overwhelming attack that paralyzes the enemy before they can respond effectively. But in this context, we're talking about a political blitzkrieg, an effort to overwhelm opposition forces with a barrage of policy changes, legal challenges, and cultural battles, all happening at once. Moms for Liberty, for example, used this strategy at the local level. They didn't just fight on one front, they pushed for curriculum changes, banned books, and silenced opposition voices all at the same time. By the time local communities could react to one issue, 5 more were already on the table. It's chaos by design. Sort of like the entire Trump presidency, where one outrage followed another. And now, we're seeing these tactics move beyond local school boards to state legislatures, and soon, to federal agencies. What started as a local takeover is now a blueprint for broader, more dangerous attacks on democracy. What's at stake? So why does this matter? Why should we care about these smaller local battles? Because these local efforts are testing grounds. They're where these strategies are refined before they're applied to larger arenas like the federal government. Imagine this same blitzkrieg approach used to take over federal agencies, the courts, and even the military. By the time the opposition can mount a defense, it's already too late. That's what's at stake here, and that's why this series exists, to expose these tactics, connect the dots, and show you what's coming if we don't act. Our approach in this series. So, what can you expect from this series? Each episode will focus on a different part of the playbook, how authoritarian forces can systematically dismantle democracy from within. We'll look at how they manipulate the courts through legal manipulation and judicial activism, stacking the courts with loyalists, expanding their power, and overriding unfavorable rulings. We'll also dive into how they can turn bureaucratic institutions into tools of oppression, weaponizing agencies that were once designed to protect and serve the public. Each episode will connect back to this overarching theme. The strategies we're seeing aren't isolated. They're part of a coordinated, long-term plan to dismantle democratic systems from the inside. Our job is to break it down, piece by piece, and show you exactly how it's happening. Call to action. As we move forward, remember that democracy doesn't defend itself. It takes all of us, being informed, staying engaged, and standing up when we see the warning signs of authoritarianism creeping in. This isn't just about being aware, it's about taking action. The more we understand the strategies being used against democracy, the better equipped we are to fight back. So keep tuning in, keep asking questions, and keep resisting. This is a fight for the future of democracy, and we're all in this together. That's it for today. In our next episode, we'll dive into legal manipulation and judicial activism, one of the key ways a rogue executive can manipulate the courts to consolidate power. We'll break down how they stack the courts, expand their influence, and override rulings that don't go their way. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss it.
Thanks so much for joining us for this foundational episode. If today's discussion sparked some new insights for you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment with your thoughts. Your support helps us build a community of digital warriors, and together, we can protect democracy from these threats. And don't miss the next episode, where we'll break down exactly how courts can be manipulated to serve authoritarian agendas. You don't want to miss it. Until then, stay vigilant, stay informed, and let's keep defending democracy together. You don't want to miss it. Until then, stay vigilant, stay informed, and let's keep defending democracy together. You don't want to miss it. Until then, stay vigilant, stay informed, and let's keep defending democracy together.
Oh, all right. Clearly, I've got some work I've got to do relative to the echo sound, and I apologize for that. I did not know it was an issue.
All right.
But we're going to have to just work through it. I can't let the perfect be the enemy of, or whatever that phrase is. What I wanted to talk about today is Project 2025 is coming our way, whether we like it or not. And the purpose is sort of to help us understand what is coming, how they're going to use it against us as best we can, because they've kept this pillar secret. As you know, there's 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is the document itself, the 920-page document that is horrific. As you know, the next one is where they're going to use Oracle, I believe is who they're using to build a database of sycophants. And 3 is what ProPublica came out with recently, where they showed the training videos, and I've got one of them I want to sort of highlight because I think that sort of incorporates where they're going in terms of hiding everything from us. They're going to be doing a lot of shady stuff, but I think they're going to be really adept at making sure we never find out about it, ever. Hiding everything from us. They're going to be doing a lot of shady stuff. And the 4th one is the 4th pillar, which is what we're going to try to uncover ourselves, given what we know these people have done in the past. And the 4th one, and a couple assumptions we're making is that what we're going to try to uncover ourselves. A lot of these organizations all work together. You might have one person working with Heritage. He's also working on ALEC. He's also working on whatever organizations. They all sort of are like a very incestuous kind of group of people. So the assumption I'm making is that they're going to be using some of the same tools that and strategies that they did elsewhere. And that is one of the assumptions that I'm making, and I think it's probably a very good one. So one of the things we're going to be looking at, let me show you this next phase here. I think it's probably a very good one. I think I'm done with that one for now. So one of the things we're going to be looking at, let me show you this next phase here. Let's see here. I think I'm done with that one for now. That one. So Moms for Liberty, perfect example. Moms for Liberty, this is a report by the Southern Poverty Law Center. they went undercover and they did an analysis of how Moms for Liberty takes over a school board. And they take over the school board much like Steve Bannon did in terms of throw so much shit that it's hard to keep track of. And that's essentially what this whole strategy was for Moms for Liberty. They would take over a school board, they would issue all these demands and commands and instructions and directions. And as people tried to defend against it or respond to it, they came out with 5 or 10 more. And it was very effective because it overwhelms people. So I assume that they're going to do something very similar to that. And there's another effort that I've seen that they did too. Let me see if I can track that one down. I'm done with this one for now, but I'm leaving it here for you guys to see if you want to track that article down and read it for yourself. Let's see. I'm done with this one for now, but I'm leaving it here for you guys to see if you want to track that article down and read it for yourself. Let's see. I guess I didn't save it. But there's another article which is called Blitz something. It was the Christian nationalists who did exactly the same thing. They would take over some organization and they would just send out all these requests and demands and overwhelm people. And it was very overwhelming. People were not able to respond effectively. So we have to assume that that's what they're going to be doing come January 20th. And we got to prepare against that. And some of the upcoming webinars are going to get more into the minutia of that. This one's more of an overview of our strategy and our approach, how we're looking at it, and some of our assumptions we're making. But I think these assumptions are good ones. It's what I would do if I was them. I would try to overwhelm the system so that the response is ineffective. All right, so moving on. If I was them, I would try to overwhelm the system so that the response is. Oh, here it is. I did find it. All right, so moving on. A Christian Nationalist Blitz. This was written back in 2018, but it's a good story overview of how the Christian nationalists overwhelmed people they were trying to who they perceived as their opponents. So that's another one, good one to look at if you have access to the New York Times. People they were trying to, but I'm not going to get into the details. I'm going to cover that a little bit later. That's another one, good one to look at if you have access. And I also want to show you who's going to be our vice president. This guy scares the crap out of me. And if you know anything about him, you know why. I mean, he's shady. He is someone who is double-faced, double-sided, will say and do anything, lies so seamlessly. He's dangerous. Dangerous. And the people he's connecting with and who's advising him is equally scary. You know, he's written the foreword for Kevin Roberts' new book. Kevin Roberts is the executive director or president of Heritage Foundation. He wrote the foreword for Jack Probazek or Prozaivek, whatever his name is, that right-wing wingnut, who wrote a book called The Inhumane. If you look at my profile, Twitter profile, you'll see that I did a tweet on that. And that's pretty much... Jack Probazek is like, hey, we should kill liberals and progressives. Not beat them up, not defeat them in elections. We should kill them. And J.D. Vance thought it was a good idea to write the foreword to that, saying these are not so bad ideas. And obviously, they're all in connection with Viktor Orban, which we're going to cover in just a second. But I want you to watch this other little short video. It's from Rachel Maddow, introducing us all to one of J.D. Vance's most important advisors, the person who's whispering in his ear now. Let's take a watch at this one. Most important advisors, the person who's whispering in his ear now. Let's take a watch at this one.
Yarvin, who's written about some of these things.
Let me go back a little bit.
There's this guy Curtis Yarvin, who's written about some of these things.
Knowing chuckle there. There's this guy Curtis Yarvin who's written about some of these things. This is Curtis Yarvin, who J.D. Vance is citing here as he is talking about the need to, seize the universities, use the government to destroy businesses who aren't right-wing. Talking about needing to rip out the American system like a tumor. Here's the guy he is citing as his sort of the source of his thinking on these matters.
So I've reduced this very complicated problem to a simple four-letter acronym, which is RAGE. And RAGE stands for Retire All Government Employees. Very simple. Now, the problem with this is, why have you never heard this before? Why has no one ever suggested, let's just get rid of this thing? You have a government in Washington, you're either for it or against it. What is government? A government is just a corporation which owns a country. Nothing more, nothing less. It so happens that our sovereign corporation is very poorly managed. And there's a very simple way to replace that, which is what we do to all corporations that have failed. We simply delete them. We haven't been able to do that with our government for 200 years. So it's gotten a little bit stale.
We should delete the U.S. government because it's stale. It has been around for too long. We haven't been able to do that, meaning delete our government for 200 years, so it's gotten a bit stale. It's been around too long. So what would that entail? Deleting the U.S. government? Our government for 200 years. So it's
the other thing about getting rid of your government is you can't just say, well, the limits of the government are the limits of the formal government. You have to say, well, what is the system actually? And it includes a lot of things that are called NGOs, things that are called universities, things that are funded by the state. It's a very large system, and it all needs to be destroyed. Fortunately, there's a lot of talented Americans who actually know how to run things and make things work and are generalists. And you can just get these people, put them in a position of responsibility, and have them do their thing. And finally, you need a CEO, and a national CEO is what's called a dictator. It's the same thing. There's no difference between a CEO and a dictator. If Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over the dictator phobia.
If Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over their dictator phobia.
Okay.
Americans want to change their government, they're going to have to get over their dictator
Let me
phobia.
close that one too. So, if you don't know about Curtis Yarvin, you do now. And he is a very scary person. We're not going to cover it all today. We'll cover it probably in future episodes. But he went on to say that there should be several groups of people, citizens. This is the guy whispering in J.D. Vance's ear. The guy who is going to be in the White House telling J.D. Vance what is a good idea. Now, we all know Trump's not going to last 4 years, either by natural situations or J.D. Vance is going to just pardon him, and Trump's going to go about his day selling our secrets. But J.D. Vance is very likely to become president during this next 4 years. But one of the things Curtis Yarvin also said is break the people up into groups. Productive, wealthy people, gainfully employed people, and pretty much people who are in the public trough, meaning getting benefits, getting government Social Security, not working, single mothers, and put them in essentially a camp. And not working. Watch them put a bracelet around their foot or their arm to keep track of them. And watch them put this is his future. This is what J.D. Vance is considering. And this is who's advising him. So, very scary person. But we'll cover him more in the future. I just wanted to give you an overview of who he is. Now, this is who's advising him. What I've been working on, I didn't do it because I wanted to do it with you guys here. I am going to take a quick break real quick and see if I can figure out how to see if anybody's making any comments. I'm a little nervous about bouncing around because, like I said, I've not used this, and I'm not sure if I will lose you or whatever. But let's see if I can figure that out. Because, like I said, I've not used this, and I'm not sure if I will lose you. We can go there. Whatever, but let's. So anyhow, guys, I'm sorry. I don't know how to get there. I'm afraid I'm not going to come back. So if there's any questions in there, I promise I will get back to them. Come back to this room, this thing, and I will respond to it. But like I said, this is my first time using it, and I will have these things worked out by the next time I come talk with you guys, because I plan to do these over the next 7 to 10 days to roll out all of what I've learned or discovered or think I've done, and I really want your feedback on if you think it's expansive enough. Do you think other things should be included? What did I forget? Because come 73 days from now, this is going to be our reality. They plan to roll out Pillar 4 immediately and overwhelm us with a bunch of executive orders or whatever. Anyhow, so let me show you what I've been working on. Do I want to show you any of these things first? Yeah, what is this? JD Vance. Oh, yes. JD Vance is coming for higher ed. Remember what Curtis Yarvin said in that last little segment from Rachel? One of their targets is higher ed. You see it even now, that they're always attacking Harvard, Princeton, even though I think he went to Harvard. They're attacking them because they want to close them down, just like Viktor Orban has done in Hungary. He has taken over a lot of those universities in Hungary, and he's made them state universities, sort of like what Ron DeSantis has done in Florida with New College, which is no longer a college, is now an indoctrination center for college students. But yeah, you can take a look at this article. I'm not going to get into it, but I just want to show you where I believe these guys are going. And I think it's well warranted. They listen to, they watch, they take advice, they collaborate with Viktor Orban, with Vladimir Putin, with other dictators. This is where they want to go. We cannot act like it's not going on, because it is going on. All right, so I'm done with this one right now. I'll get back to that. What is this one? Oh, I'm definitely not going to go over this whole article, but it's like 70 pages long. But I came across it by a guy named Peter Kreco. He wrote it in 2022. He talks about how Viktor Orban turned Hungary into a liberal informational autocracy. The autocracies of now are informational, meaning they control how information gets to the population. There's no free press in Hungary, or very limited free press. Most of them have been squeezed out, and I suspect that's definitely going to be what Trump's going to try to do here in the United States. And I honestly don't know if he's going to be successful, because these newspapers out here, New York Times, Washington Post, are doing things all wrong. They don't know what they're coming up against, but very well-resourced document. I did download the PDF. Like I said, it's, I don't know, 70, 80 pages of detail. If you want some information about Hungary, this is a good one to get. And I'll show you where I use that later on. And then the other one that I grabbed is another document about the same length, written by Nancy, I think her name is Nancy. Oh, Kim Lane Chapelle. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. If you watch this, Kim, please don't get mad at me. But I thought this was really interesting too, because she goes into depth about how he wins his elections, because you'll see some similarities between what Orban's done and what Republicans are trying to do. Now remember, these guys are talking to each other, they're working, so they are collaborating together on what's been successful about how to steal elections, how to take over countries, and how to turn them into illiberal, informational autocracies. So let's take a look at what she said. I'm not going to go over in the details. I want you to read it when you get a chance. But let's see a couple of the highlights here. So let's take a look at what she said. I'm not going to go over that one. I want you to read it when you get a chance. Gerrymandering, we know that they're doing that, whereas people like California and New York or other progressive liberal states are doing these independent redistricting commissions, which are fair. The Republicans are saying, screw that, we're going to do partisan gerrymanders where we can get as many legislative seats as possible. I think one of the strategies we really need to really think about is stop doing those nonpartisan, citizen-led ones until we can balance out the system. We cannot be playing fair, and they're playing to win and cheating, and we never regain the House again. Very easily, California could squeeze out damn near every Republican, and I personally think we should do it. I heard some resistance from people who think, oh, we can't be like them. Well, we're not all on the same page because I totally think we need to win back our country and then we can worry about making it fair. I know people are resistant to that kind of philosophy, but I'm just letting you know where I come from. Divide and conquer, hell yes, we've seen that. Viktor Orban has talked about, and we see Trump, he's got to always have an enemy, right? If it's the Haitians, is it the immigrants, if it's the Venezuelans, is it the trans, is it the Democrats, is it the mainstream media? It's always somebody to divide and to conquer. And as we've seen in the last election, it seems to be working. So we need to come up with a strategy to defend against that strategy and to conquer. And as we've seen in the last, we can talk more about that later. Let's see. Seems to be working. So we need to come up with a strategy. Choosing the voters. That's what gerrymandering is all about. Winning the party line list vote. That's hard to explain. I'm not going to get into it now, but if you're interested, it's a unique feature of Hungarian parliament. Winning the party line, in essence, is that's hard to explain. I'm not going to get into it. I can't even explain it. I get myself rounded in a circle trying to do that. I barely understand it myself. But this has changed a little bit. The future of opposition in Hungary. There's been some lessening of support for him, and this new upstart party, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, popped up and won some seats out of the blue in the most recent European Union Parliament elections. I think they got like 11 seats when they weren't even around at the beginning of this year. So to go from 0 to 11 or whatever it was quite substantial. 11 seats when they weren't even. All right, let me close this one. To go from 0 to 11 or whatever it was quite substantial. I'll show you that in a second. All right, but let me tell you what I've done. And this is where I wish I had the ability to get your feedback, but trust that I will go through your comments and notes and I will get back to them, and I promise you that I will figure out how to do this comment stuff at the next one. Trust that I will go through your comments and notes and I will get back to them, and I promise you that I will figure out how to do this. Turn off voice control at the next one. Trust that I will go through your comments and notes and I will get back to them. Hey Siri, turn off voice control. Hey, turn off voice control. Well, this might be a problem, but we'll see. All right, so hey Siri, turn off I created a turn off voice control. It is going to be a problem. Dang it! This might be a problem. Get over here. All right, so I created a chatbot called Democracy Watch 2025. I made it available for people to be able to use. Google shut it down, and now it's only available for me to use privately. But let me show you how I use it. So I added those documents that we talked about earlier, the Christian National Blitz, how Viktor Orban wins, the Peter Greco one, or Greco one, When Moms for Liberty flips. We did the I also added Russian crony capitalism because that's sort of the story of how Vladimir Putin controls his oligarchs. Pretty much, it's not based on skills or abilities. It's based on loyalty, which we already know Trump is a big believer in. And then there's this podcast that I could not find it again. I just found it by skills or abilities. It's based on accident, but it was like a 16-part series about the rise of Putin. Very informative. So I added the text of that document here, so that we can query it and learn more. And then I added the professor article that was written by the administrator for the professors who was arguing against JD's attacks on universities. So those are the documents that are in this chatbot. So some of the things you can do with the chatbot, which are really cool. Oh God, I need to be able to turn that off. That's another thing. I got to turn that off when the next time, because every time I talk, it puts what I'm saying here, as you can tell. Oh God, I need to be able to turn that off. And it's not going off. I got to turn that off. I'm going to stop talking while I type this. The next time, bear with me. Every time I talk, it puts what I'm saying here, as you can tell. Oh God, I need to be able to turn that off. And it's not going off. I got to turn that off. I'm going to stop talking while I type this. The next time, bear with me. Every time I talk, it puts what I'm saying here, as you can tell. And it's not going off. I'm going to stop talking while I type this. Next time, bear with me. Every time I talk, it puts what I'm saying here, as you can tell. And it's not going off. I'm going to stop talking while I type this. Bear with me. Every time I talk, it puts what I'm saying here. So what it does is it goes through. Oh, one other thing I forgot to tell you. This Democracy Watch 2025 has the entire text of Project 2025. So if someone had a question relative to something that was in Project 2025, I'd be able to find that exact text and page reference instantaneously. Well, relatively instantaneously. I type sort of slow, so as long as it takes me to type without any errors. Oh. Well, relatively instantaneously. I type sort of slow. So anyhow, as you see, takes me to type. It goes through the documents I've included in there, and it comes up with how I did it. As you see, control over educational, cultural institutions. So the reason I'm bringing this all up is we can see where the GOP is going to be going by seeing where Viktor Orban has went. So the reason I'm bringing this all up is we can see where the GOP is going to be going by seeing where Viktor Orban. Also, let's take a look at the documents relative to Moms for Liberty and the Christian nationalists. Look at the documents relative to Moms for Liberty and the Christian nationalists. Look at the documents relative to Moms for Liberty and the Christian nationalists. Look at the documents relative to Moms for Liberty and the Christian nationalists. And again, this is going through and grabbing that information from the documents in there. And one of the things, again, this is going through and grabbing that information from the documents. This is going to drive a brother crazy. And one of the things, again, this is going through and grabbing that information from the documents. This is going to drive a brother crazy. And one of the things, again, this is going through. Anyhow, this is going to drive me crazy. But so I had done this effort before, which is how I came up with the whole concept of blitzkrieg. I forgot the exact question I asked. And this is sort of the art and craft of using artificial intelligence to help you decipher through documents. You have to ask it certain ways, and sometimes it does not come back with what you're looking for, but it does give you a better understanding of what's going on. Documents. So anyhow, and sometimes it does not come back. This is going to be hard to work with because I can't see you guys chat. So let's just use this as it's been 30 minutes. That's a good place to stop for now. And then that'll give me a day or so to work out the bugs of the echoing, to work out the bugs of the voice control that is talking or typing when I talk, and to work out the issue of the comments, voice control that is talking or typing when I talk. I've got some work to do, but you see the potential here. You see where we're going with here. Did I forget? Oh, I do want to show you guys this last video too. This is sort of important. We've got some work to do. And it's part of the Pillar 4 Project 2025 game plan. So let me show you this quick video, and then we will. And it's part of the wrap up. Pillar 4 Project 20. This is the woman who's in charge of the climate change agenda. This is their plan for climate change. You will be shocked. Listen.
What do you think about all of about the less words and definitions in the environment?
It's a great point, Katie. They don't stop. Climate change allegedly is everywhere. And if the American people elect a conservative president, his administration will have to eradicate climate change references from absolutely everywhere. And according to our intelligence community, the number one threat facing our country today is, drumroll, climate change. Not Russia, not China, not AI, climate change. This shows how the federal government is all in on this issue. And climate change activists wield a lot of power. This is an issue to pay attention to as it has infiltrated every part of the federal government. Now, when I think of climate change, I immediately think of population control, don't you? I think about the people who don't want you to have children because of the impact on the environment. Perhaps not everyone will make that connection, but after spending time in the international space trying to protect life, I can tell you that this is part of their ultimate goal, to control people. After spending time in the international space trying to protect life, I can tell you
These people are bad shit crazy.
To control people.
Sorry for the expletives, but wow. I hadn't listened to that one for a couple weeks and I forgot how crazy she was at its population control. These people are in control of our government for the next 4 years at minimum. And that is frightening because the first time around, they did go through trying to remove all references, deleting entire websites that had to deal with climate change. They fired a lot of the climate change people or forced them to move to faraway locations, so they ended up quitting. It was part of their strategy. Anyhow, so next time we'll have more time to dig into this. Like I'll have the comments things figured out. But if you have any questions that you want to ask of the AI regarding Project 2025 specifically, or any of these documents or concepts specifically, or in general, if there's something else you want me to add to this chat here, I can do that. I'm trying to keep them all focused on this topic so that they're relevant. We're not going to add things that are totally irrelevant to this general discussion. That keeps it focused on the responses that would be most germane to what we're trying to do. What is this last video here? Is it one I want to show you? Most likely like me. I think we already most germane to what we're trying to do. I think we already did that one. What is this last video here? Is it one I want to show? All right, well, I think I've been droning on long enough. There might be some questions over there, but like I said, I don't know how to get to them. Like I said, I did not want to delay starting the series by trying to make sure I had everything figured out. Because that's not how it works in real life. You got to go with what you have and then make improvements along the way. So with that, I'm going to wrap up for now and get to work trying to get answers on how to make the next one better. All right? Thank you. So with that, I'm going to wrap up for now and I'm going to finish.